Okay, there. This is Andrew Paul Smith, and it's the second day of recording articles that I'm newly writing. These are new things that I'm writing. So this is called Walking Away in Love, and I've written it today, which is the 24th of February, 2015. And what I shall do first of all is I'll tell you, there's a picture I put on Facebook. There's a picture of a man in the distance walking away, and there's a lady following him. All right, it's a black and white picture, and this is what I've said about walking away in love. Once I've read to you what I've written, then I'm going to comment further. In less than 2 weeks' time, the 10th anniversary of my mother's death will have passed. In the UK, Mothering Sunday is celebrated about 4 weeks before Easter, and it was on Mothering Sunday that my mum decided to leave us. It had been a lovely family day. She'd come to stay for the weekend. We just had a wonderful meal, and not long after, she had a massive heart attack and died. It was a very big shock for us all. My father's death, less than 3 months before, was expected. He'd had a long illness, and we'd been prepared for the sad day when he left us just a few days before Christmas. My mother's passing was a different matter entirely. It was unexpected. After all, she was 10 years younger than my dad. In life, as well as in death, people walk away from us, and it doesn't mean that they no longer love us. Each one of us has our own path to walk, our own destination to arrive at. Love is all-encompassing, and like with death, when we find it hard to accept that the loved one is leaving or has left the intimacy we have shared with them, we enter a time of grief. At first I saw my grief on the loss of my parents as an expression of my love for them, but eventually it became debilitating. We had been a very close family. There was always love in the air, hugs and kisses, smiles and joys. They had all come to an end, unless they were experienced as a memory. My mum was commenting on a poem I had written whilst she was here that final weekend. It was about my dad. It was called Without You. She said to me, and now it seems like her parting shot, "Andrew, you really must stop writing poems and dwelling on your dad's death. It is all right to grieve, but you have to move on from this, or it will eat you alive." Later that day, she walked away from us, in love, to follow my father into the next life. As my then 7-year-old son remembered at my dad's funeral, my granddad said he was going to a better place. May we all allow those who have loved us and walked away in love to go to that better place, a place where our grief no longer holds them back from the places they need to go, in the hope that, like my missing parents, we might be with them again one day. Now, obviously, this is a very moving subject for me, and I was talking to a Facebook friend about the fact that my parents had died almost 10 years ago now, and that I'm usually the happy smiling one here in Facebook. I don't know if you've watched any of my videos before, or whether you've read any of the articles that I've put on Facebook, and I put them on my website as well, apsmithonline.com, just in case you didn't know that. But sometimes I have down days too. I have days when I'm not feeling 100% happy and smiling and let's all have a dance and a jamboree. Honestly, there are days when I don't feel that at all. And I think the fact that I haven't spoken about those kind of thoughts and feelings before, it's a bit of a triumph, but it's a bit sad too. The triumph is that I've been able to put my best foot forward and keep people motivated and inspired and challenged and feeling good about themselves. And all those things are laudable. They're good things for us to do, especially if we see ourselves as some kind of inspirational speaker. But I think that it's sad too, because most people's lives aren't like that, Andrew. Most people's lives have got ups and downs to them. And if I don't share my downs with you, then I'm not being totally honest. I'm not giving you the balance of who I really am. All you see is this rah, 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 excitement, smiling, happy, joyful person. And you don't realise that there's been times of great sadness in my life. And this anniversary, this 10th anniversary, is in my mind, and I've got to listen. Andrew, you really must stop dwelling on your dad's death. It's all right to grieve, but you have to move on from this, or it will eat you alive. Well, I'm sorry, Mum. I'm sorry. I'm back there again thinking about it, and it's true though. When you dwell on what you've loved and lost, it is the most debilitating, grieving kind of dark, sad feeling that you can have. I can't touch my parents. I can't be physically with them. Their bodies are no longer in one place. They asked for cremation, and so. In fact, I'll tell you a little bit more about this. When we went to see them, maybe 4 or 5 years before they died, and went to see them, and they said, my mum said, you'll never guess where we've been, where we've been today. And so I said, well, no, where have you been? And you tell him, Doug. That's my dad. So my dad says, we've been to the open day at the crematorium. Really? What do you say to that? So we both go quiet, myself and Anne, and we're listening. And they've showed us exactly what happens, etc., when they have to deal with the remains of someone who's passed on. And we've decided this. We've decided we don't want a grave. We don't want a gravestone. We don't want to have a plaque in the wall of remembrance at the cemetery. We don't want to have an entry in the book of remembrance. We don't even want you to know where our ashes are being put in the garden of remembrance at the back of the crem. We want to be placed in a sort of non-named section. And at the time, it didn't really register. But after my dad died, I didn't know where to go. I wanted to be near him, and I couldn't be. And they said on the conclusion of what they decided that they wanted us to remember them in our hearts. And if you can't do that, we were told, then forget it. That was basically when they spoke about this day coming, that we would be separated, and this is what we want you to do. We want you to remember us in your heart. So anyway, on this, it was the day after the tsunami, when hundreds of thousands of people lost their lives, that I wanted to be near my dad. And both my mum and my brother were very ill with colds. This is the Boxing Day, 27th of December. And I remember being told at the funeral that there was going to be a party at my dad's identical twin brother's eldest daughter's house. She'd lived with us for a couple of years when she was training to be a nurse. So she was like my older sister. And there was going to be a party for the family, her side of the family anyway, on that day at their house. And so I went there to be near my dad. Because my uncle had died 20 years before, so my dad's identical twin's eldest daughter was the nearest thing that I could think of in this life that I could be near to. So I went to Bev's. Jerry opened the door, that's her husband, and said, oh, you're on your way, have you been to see your mum? I said, no. Are you going after you've been here? I said, no. And he said, oh, well, come in then. And they're all playing bingo. And I went and stood in the kitchen, and started talking to my cousin, who was 10 years younger than me, and 12 years younger than me. And she, I couldn't believe it, she had a very similar outlook to life as me. And we spent probably hundreds of hours talking on the phone after that meeting. I'd never really spoken to her because I was 12 years older. She'd just been somebody I'd said hello to when I'd gone to my uncle's in the past. So we had hundreds of hours talking about our dads and the things that they'd said, and I learnt things about my dad, and I think she learnt things about her dad that we didn't know before. But it was like a meeting of minds. There were people there. So when you move on in your grief, there's always something really good, maybe not as good, but really good waiting for you. So there's plenty more I could say about this, but this is on my mind today, and I thought I'd share it with you. This is Andrew Paul Smith of apsmithonline.com saying thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and I'll be back maybe tomorrow with another inspirational talk for you. Okay, bye for now. Bye.